Hello, this is Peter Bell. Please enjoy this recording of a conversation with Mr. Adrian Rothwell, President and CEO of the newly listed Core Mining. Join the conversation already in progress. Well, and $25 million market cap, that seems okay. It's not.
Yeah, well, that works out to about $5 an ounce in the ground.
Yeah, I guess that's the number. Yeah.
With two really advanced development stage projects.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, and the one Imperial, I guess that's in California.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, so that's our flagship project. We acquired that from Goldcorp back in 2017. So we've owned that now for about a year and a half. We own it outright. It's got about 2.2 million ounces of gold in the ground, and it's got all the salient studies that one would hope to have on a project. But we love it. I mean, it's a very simple project. It's an open pit, run of mine heap leach. It's all oxide ore, and a lot of people get stuck on the grade. It's 0.6 grams per ton, but at Core, we believe in simplicity, and we have water, power, road right to site, and the mineralization goes to surface. So when you have a project like that, you don't need grades to be chasing narrow intercepts underground. I mean, this is a very simple project, and it's very similar to the project that's 10 miles away in operation. Equinox just acquired the Mesquite mine for about 160 million US, and that operation has about 4 years left, and they're still mining transitional material, lower grade, and a higher strip ratio than Imperial, and they're making money.
Really?
So,
really?
Yeah.
Well,
so,
and you say transitional, and so that's in between the oxide and the sulfide domains.
Yes. So they're mining a bit of a mix.
And they're putting that on the heap?
Yep, they're just chucking everything on the heap and
right.
and getting they're making money.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about these mines. You get these heap leach, you get that material on the pad, start circulating the pregnant solution through it.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be moving to residual leach in about 4 years, and then they'll be having about a bit of a period. I'm not sure how long it will be for Mesquite to be in residual leach, but I'm sure, for us, we offer that region of California a good longer term economic opportunity. I think our timing is very good. California certainly had its troubled past with respect to mining, but now we've come to renew the permitting process on Imperial at a time when California really is looking for economic opportunities, and if you can do it right, and we think we have the right approach. We have the support of the local county. It makes sense.
Adrian Rothwell, President and CEO of Core Mining. I'd point out as well, Imperial and Long Valley, an appendix on the company's website there to the presentation deck. Nice graph showing meters drilled and 1996 culminating feasibility study there for Imperial, and similar for Long Valley, again 96, 97 last drilling done, and substantial amount at Long Valley there, 30,000 meters, and in that year 1996. It's funny to think how long these things have been gathering dust on the shelf, and that it could be a run of mine heap leach. Like, that's a pretty nice
Yeah.
from a mine engineering and operational perspective, right? That's that's pretty good.
Yeah, we've had our engineers look at it 6 ways till Sunday, and they love it. I mean, if these projects were,
Yeah.
uh, 50 miles further east,
Yes.
in both cases, they wouldn't be there. They'd be gone. And you mentioned the amount of drilling on both projects. We've got about 470,000 feet of drilling between the two of them. They're very, very well studied. Um, and as you mentioned, Imperial has a historic feasibility study on it. It also has an updated PEA that was done by a former operator about 7 years ago. But our objective is really to get the permitting studies updated from 1996
Yeah.
to meet modern standards, which we're doing right now, and we estimate that we'll have the resubmission of our permit application by about mid-year next year.
Well, and interesting to hear you say the word permit studies. So often, we hear about the technical reports and the resource estimates and the economic studies and
Yeah,
those things
yeah.
being the critical things for the market and for the juniors. But talking about California, and good to hear you focusing right there on permitting. Um, and you alluded to the history of mining in California. There's a long history there, modern times, hydraulic mining way back. Um, is it, and the you said the county's friendly, so, and with
Yes.
Equinox in state as well. It's yeah, it's interesting to think that there might be potential there for a future mining industry in California.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, California's steeped in history with mining, and of course, California gold rush from the 1800s. A bit of a resurgence, and I think that you'll see in 2019 another bit of a gold rush.
Yeah.
We're going to see some of these projects that have been sitting, gathering dust, get turned around. The ones, and yes, you're right, you are correct. We're not focusing on the technical studies on Imperial because, quite frankly, they have been done extremely competently in the past. So the studies that we are focusing on, as also I should mention, are really just updates.
Yeah.
This has been a very well studied project, and we don't anticipate that we'll find any environmental, biological, or technical problems with the project either.
And still, though, no one else. It took you guys to come along and decide that that was the right strategy, the right course. I wonder.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I guess maybe Equinox might have broken some ground there for you and given some cover or some led some of new entrants. But yeah, I wonder any color you
Absolutely.
can give about where these ideas for California came from and why you think
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. Equinox has blazed a bit of a trail for us as well. Another company, Golden Queen, has done the same, and each of those projects are in production. But really, the thing that we saw in California, in particular, was changes around regulation and streamlining of their California Environmental Quality Act. Also,
Really?
the it's more the will at the state level
Yeah.
to promote economic development, and that's what I had been keeping a close eye on before we acquired the project, and we saw it moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
The and we, I do believe there are right and wrong places to have mines, and this particular project uh, got my attention when I was formerly employed at Goldcorp, and uh, after I left Goldcorp, uh, I spent a year with my team looking at projects, and we ended up coming back to this project because
Mm.
it really is in a part of California that that
Yeah.
promotes mining, and it is the highest and best used economically of the land there. So,
Well, I'm looking at the
um,
border to Arizona. Yuma is
yeah,
from Imperial. It looks like, under 100 miles or something like that. Very, very close.
it is close. We're sitting around a 40-minute drive from Yuma, Arizona. It's about the same distance from El Centro and from another town called Brawley in California. Now, those towns
Yeah.
sit on the other side of the Glamis sand dunes, El Centro and Brawley, and they're primarily agricultural towns. They're only agricultural because of the Colorado River Canal that was built a long
Yes.
time
Yeah.
ago now, about 100 years ago.
Yep.
So we're kind of in no man's land.
Yeah.
It's used primarily for on the Glamis sand dunes for recreation,
Yep.
but it's not really well traveled.
Well, Southern Pacific Railroad right there, highways all
Yes.
around. You may be in the middle of nowhere, but you're not that far from all the
Yeah. I mean, we got
wonderful
we got
things. It's a
power
great
lines.
town. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Peter. I mean, yeah, we got road access right to site, power lines running right past our tenure lines, and we got one production water well on site that we have the rights to. So yes, I mean, when I say middle of nowhere, we're not talking we're not talking mountains in northern British Columbia.
Well, and you have some stuff in BC too, but that's off to the east. I like that area as well for exploration. It's
Hmm.
the Barkerville. Um,
Yes,
it's the,
that was part of our decision to go public the way we did through a reverse takeover of Eureka Resources, and the former management saw the opportunity to combine with Core's assets in California, just as we did, and
yeah.
we wanted to build a portfolio of projects that were in the similar region. It's certainly an easy day trip for us to get to either to any of our projects, either in California or BC. But the two projects in the Caribou are in a good historic mining camp. Our Gold Creek project is bounded by Barkerville's Caribou Gold and Spanish Mountain and Mount Polly on the third side of that project. We have spent the last 6-8 months going over probably about 30 years of historic data on that project. There's been extensive studies done on soils and geochemistry, geophysical work done on that project. There was some drilling that was done in 2011 and 2017 that added some color to that work. And we compiled a list of drill targets, and this year we went back and we just while we were private and before we closed on this transaction to become public, we went back and drilled about 1,000 meters at Gold Creek. So
Oh wow.
we're really excited about the results that are going to come out of that project, and that's a
Yeah.
potential large discovery.
An SHV model. Looking forward to hearing more about that. We don't have to go into it so much here Saturday morning, 9 a.m.
Yeah,
Pacific on November
yeah.
3rd. the day after you guys first started trading, but that's an interesting deposit model that I'm not so familiar with, and yeah, keen to hear more as the results come out from that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, sediment-hosted vein style deposits, really, that in simple terms, uh, it's about a 200-meter wide band of mineralization where you're going to have high grade veins and some disseminated gold through the whole zone through some porous sedimentary style
Yeah,
rock,
yeah,
greywacke. So
wonderful.
yeah, yeah, very excited. So stay tuned.
And just to come back to the California stuff too, I guess
Hmm.
I'd maybe the possible worst case scenario of there being some cultural or some historical reason to not develop a mine at the area where Imperial, for example, and the map and the presentation draw people's attention to the fact that three mines, Mesquite in the area and Pichacho and another one as
Picacho,
well,
yeah.
so wild.
Yeah, historically, yeah, the Picacho mine was a great mine for Glamis gold. Um, it's very similar in mineralization to Imperial. Imperial is all oxide though, so no transition. And Picacho did have some sulfides in there too. From a cultural perspective, really there's two ways of looking at it. We do believe from a permitting perspective that in the United States, we're on federal land, we're on BLM land. You dot your I's, you cross the T's, you do the right mitigation, and you will get your permit. And there's no red flags that come up from a biological or environmental perspective. Historically, the cultural issues that had been raised on the site have been addressed. Um, so that's why we're confident that we will receive a permit on this project.
Yeah.
On the other side, though, we do believe in local community, local economic development, and we will work towards getting an impact benefit agreement of some sort with that local community.
Great. Well, 100,000 plus ounces annual average over a 10-year
Yes,
life of mine. These are big numbers.
yes, yeah, they are. I mean, it's 120,000 ounces a year for 10 years average
Yep.
production, and there is optionality to higher gold prices or for expansion of the mine beyond that for a couple of years as well.
Yeah.
We have really it's two pits, an east and a west pit. There's two smaller pits as well that are included in that production profile. But really it's east and west pits,
Yep.
and between the two pits, the mineralization is continuous. So
Oh, really?
uh, really, it's what you mine is driven by gold price and economics.
Yeah.
So the cash cost on the model as it sits right now is certainly profitable.
I can't
We're looking
imagine
at
quite what that number will be. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
When you get into the run of
the
mine stuff as well, right? That's when it really starts to get
yes.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very simple production, and that's what we like about it.
And
It's
for those of
basically
us,
mine it, crush it, and throw it on a leach pad.
keep it simple. And for those of us
Yep.
who, hear a junior talking about production and want to run the other way, um,
It gets scary. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and anything about, it's a pretty substantial leadership team that you have here, a lot of experience. Anything, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, on the production, that's why we like it. It's simple. It's relatively inexpensive to get it into production. Most of the capital cost that would be involved in getting this mine into production is mobile equipment. And we can certainly be creative around how that is done. in the first 2 or 3 years of startup. We're in the right jurisdiction in the United States. It makes it very easy for us to lease equipment or the availability of contractors to help out for those first few years certainly is not a problem where we're located. So, not a big complex operation to get started. That's for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, and again, just thinking about exit strategy down the road as one possible best case scenario, and to hear about simplicity and low capex potential on the way in, that makes the potential exit strategy seem a little bit more realistic to me.
Yes. Yeah, and certainly, I mentioned we do provide a long-term solution for the incumbent miners in the area too. So, we're there, and we all know each other. So we'll see what happens.
Mr. Adrian Rothwell, President and CEO of Core Mining. Thanks very much for talking to me.
Thank you very much, Peter.